We are live. What's happening, everybody? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel, the Victory Formation Sports Show. We are live again for another episode. We had technical difficulties yesterday, but we're back today, and I have a special guest, my man Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Marcus, how are you this morning?
What's going on, Jeff? Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, it's pretty good, man. So last night, we got a bunch of stuff to get to, but last night we'll start just straight up. Last night, Bucks, Lakers, LeBron, Giannis, AD, Chris Middleton, if you want to throw his name in there, if he's worthy enough. I don't think so, but maybe. They all played. They all hooped last night. And we saw the Lakers defeat the Bucks 113 to 106. LeBron had 34, 8, and 6, AD 18, 8, and 6. Giannis 25 and 12, but he fouled out. Marcus, what are your initial thoughts after watching the game last night between the Lakers and the Bucks?
Well, I thought the game lived up to expectations. It seems like the Bucks love playing the Lakers because every time they play the Lakers, it seems like they really get up for that matchup. And I respect that. You know, the Bucks, regardless of how we feel about the Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks are a legitimate team in the Eastern Conference, and they're a legitimate team because of their best player, Giannis. I'm looking at their roster, guys like DiVincenzo, Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday. They've got some nice pieces, but by and large, the reason we think that they have a chance to make any type of noise, right? Because even if they were to play the Brooklyn Nets or the Boston Celtics, it's not like they're going to get swept. The reason we think they have a chance to make any type of noise is because we've seen Giannis constantly dominate the regular season. Now, I understand we want to see more from him, but I thought last night's game was great. I was tuned into that as well as the versus battle between Ashanti and Keisha Cole, which was extremely spicy. But my overall takeaway from the game is that at this stage in the season, LeBron James is shooting the three ball extremely effectively. I just checked this morning before we hopped on. He's up to close to 40% from three. Now, we know LeBron James is a streaky shooter, so I don't expect this to last for a long time, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's happening. I thought he was sensational. One thing that I want, and I want to get your thoughts on this whenever you get a chance to talk, is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis finished with a pedestrian 18 points, 9 rebounds, and we're about a quarter of the way through the season, and Anthony Davis' numbers are not there. Like, LeBron kind of got off to a slow start, but he's starting to pick up steam. I thought it would be the inverse. I thought Anthony Davis would carry this Lakers team early in the regular season because LeBron is older. They just finished playing in October, but that hasn't been the case. So that's something to pay attention to in the second half of the season.
Yeah, no. So, like you said, LeBron's shooting, I think, is the most exciting for the Lakers fans right now because LeBron is knocking down shots that he probably shouldn't. I mean, I think somebody said last night, bad shots go in sometimes, but bad shots don't go in 40% of the time, right? Like, bad shots don't go in even 38% of the time, and that's what he's shooting the three ball at for the season, even before last night's game. Now, last night's game, he had 6 threes, but coming into the game, I think he was at 37.5 or 40% for the season. So the man is lighting it up, and then they all knew it was primetime game. They know who they were playing. The Bucks knew that they were playing the defending champs. The Lakers knew they were playing a team that feels like they can dethrone them if they see them in the NBA Finals. But so everybody had a little bit to gain. Everybody had something to play for. Anthony Davis is interesting because we were talking about this earlier. I think Anthony Davis is a better basketball player than Giannis. Like, that's just what I think. And you don't seem to think so. But head to head, Giannis kind of dominates AD. Like, I don't know what it is. Anthony Davis' skill set, to me, is better than Giannis. Like, if I want to create a basketball player, I'm going to give him more handles like AD. I'm going to give him a better shot like AD. And then the defense, they kind of neutralize each other out. But when they actually play each other, it seems like Giannis always has the upper hand, whether it's scoring more points, grabbing more rebounds, and just looking more engaged into the game. That's the one caveat about Anthony Davis. He doesn't always look engaged in the game at all times. Am I wrong when I say that?
No, you're absolutely right. And I don't know if it's because he's playing with LeBron James, so he's deferring. I really don't know. But I think when we were talking about it last night, and for those people that are listening and watching at home, thanks for tuning into the show. Anthony Davis is a phenomenal basketball player, but I have him ranked as the 7th best basketball player in the NBA. And I know when people hear that, their minds just go to a place where it's like, how can you possibly have Anthony Davis as the 7th best basketball player in the NBA?
Because he's not. You can't because he's not. But keep going.
No, the reason I have him at 7 is because there are 6 players that I would rank ahead of him, which include LeBron, KD, Steph, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. If I had to start a team from scratch, meaning if I had to draft between Anthony Davis and Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm taking Giannis Antetokounmpo. If I already had an established superstar on my team, I've said it once and I'll say it again, like a LeBron, like a Steph, or like a Kevin Durant, and I needed someone to slot into the Robin role, I would choose Anthony Davis over Giannis then.
I can see it. I definitely think, I don't know. I'm more of an AD guy, but like I said, when they play head to head, it does seem like Giannis seems to get the better of them. Now let's stay on Giannis. By the way, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and comment. We're going to be interactive tonight. We're going to be this morning, not tonight, this morning. We're going to be interactive this morning, so we're going to pull up some of your comments. But one thing me and Marcus were talking about off air, well, actually on our Clubhouse, and if you guys are on Clubhouse, follow us on Clubhouse. We have good discussions on there. Giannis, it's funny, your homie Rob, shout out to Rob. He said Giannis's game. Now, listen to this, guys. He said Giannis's game is like LeBron when he was at St. Vincent, St. Mary's. Now, I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. He feels like Giannis should be more developed to this point in his career. Now, should I mention, we have to mention that Giannis, how old is Giannis? Let's make sure I don't want to get this wrong. Giannis,
he's 25 or 26, but don't quote me on that.
Yes, Giannis is 26 years old. We have to remember Giannis is only 26 years old. You normally hit your basketball prime around age 27. So, but he feels like after winning 2 MVPs and after having the lack of success in the playoffs, he feels like Giannis should be further along. Marcus, what say you?
So here's the thing. Most people, Dominic Davis said AD is better than Giannis.
He is better than, Damo, hey, shout out to Damo, man. He is better than AD, better than Giannis. But keep going. Should he be more developed at this point of his career?
In terms of him knocking down shots consistently?
In terms of his game. Let's just call it what it is in terms of his game. Okay. There's a way you can defend Giannis and neutralize him. So should he be more developed?
I would say no, and here's why. Yes, I would say no. Here's why. Giannis' inability to shoot is only problematic because he's not playing with another elite superstar. So Giannis, I told you this before, in actuality, because the majority of his points come in the painted area, he plays like a big. He has the frame and build of a wing, and we typically see him match up against guys like Kawhi, KD, and LeBron, so we tend to think of him as a 3. I think he's even listed as a small forward. But in actuality, Giannis is 6'11", and he shoots over 50% from the field, which is not really shooting. He scores over 50% from the field.
Dunks, yeah, a bunch of easy dunks and stuff.
Bunch of Euro steps and layups.
Yeah.
So if you were to pair Giannis' game, which he plays like a big, with a traditional wing or even a scoring guard like a James Harden, you would see that they would play an in-and-out style of basketball where whoever was on the wing or whoever was his scoring guard would be a threat from the perimeter. And whenever he would get doubled or if he would go ISO with his defender, they could dump it into Giannis and allow him to create one-on-one. Giannis cannot be stopped one-on-one, whether he's coming down at you with a full head of steam or even in the painted area. He will dunk on you. I've seen him do it to a lot of people. Yeah, the way to stop him is to form a wall in transition so that he's not allowed to navigate the lanes. And or if you realize that he's not playing with another superstar, which he's not, even if you combine Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, combine their talents on their best day, they're not equaling Anthony Davis. They're not equaling someone like Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or even a James Harden. It is what it is. So as long as that dynamic is present, Giannis is going to run into the same wall, pun intended, year in and year out, where he's going to struggle in the playoffs until he gets a bona fide second fiddle. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so thank you, Damo, because Marcus is making excuses. Like this is what this is 2021. In the NBA, traditional big, that's out the window. The Patrick Ewings, the Hakeem Olajuwons, all of that stuff, even the Shaqs, like you cannot play like that anymore. Especially when you're supposed to be one of the best players in the NBA. Even if you're big, think about the other bigs that are not. Think about Anthony Davis. That is the type of skill set that you must have. Now think about it. If Giannis develop something of a jump shot. Like he's got to be dudes play Giannis from the free throw line in. Like they literally don't even come past the free throw line. By the way, he shoots 50-something% from the line. So that's even worse. So even if you foul him, as long as you don't let him get one of those big, long Euro steps all the way to the basket, you got a pretty good chance of defending Giannis. And we've seen him underperform in the playoffs, losing to a team like the Miami Heat, who wasn't nearly as well regarded as Milwaukee. Milwaukee came into the season last year on pace to win over 60 games. They won over 60 games the year before. They're on pace to win, whatever the percentage of 60 games is in an 82-game season. They're going to win another 50-something games this year in a 72-game season. Giannis should be further along. If Giannis is a two-time MVP and he's a defensive player of the year, like there's only so many people that have done that, Marcus. I can tell you who's done it. It's Jordan and it's Hakeem. That's it. Like they're the only two players. So Giannis is on that list, right? And what did those guys were able to do? They were able to elevate their teams into champions. Whether you think Hakeem wouldn't have won it if Jordan didn't say retired or whatever, we can do that another day. But regardless, he's a champion. And Giannis needs to be at the level of a champion. And the only way to do that is to develop his game. You got to be more of a stretch forward. You got to be more of a guy that can take a dude off the dribble and have more than one move. You're too far into your NBA career at this point. You just signed for $200 million. And to this point, I think a guy, if you just want to rack up a bunch of regular season MVPs and a bunch of like awards that don't matter, like by all means, go ahead. You got your bag and you're going to continue to make all-star games and you're already a Hall of Famer because you got 2 MVPs. So, hey, clap it up. But to this point in his career, should he be further along? Absolutely. He should. He should have worked when he got his ass sent home by the Miami Heat, right? And when the Lakers and them had like a 2-week turnaround, and he had like 3 months, 4 months, he should have been working on his shot. He should have been working on his handle. That's something you shouldn't be getting 4 charges in a game because you only have one move, right? Like you shouldn't be getting 4 charges in a game because you only have one move. Am I tripping for saying that? Like, is that too much? Is that asking too much?
No, it's not asking for too much, but here's the reality, Jeff. Most people that make it to the NBA that are jump shooters, right? That's something that they've developed in a craft that they've honed their entire life. We're now asking Giannis, which again, it's not unfair, but for you to think that in an offseason, he's going to pick up a consistent jump shot, because essentially that's what you're asking. So I always tell people, if you're asking for help from somebody, you got to come to me with something already. Giannis has no jump shot, period. Like, it's not even like the formation of it is there. If you watch him shoot, it's not natural. The form isn't natural. It kind of seems like because of his muscular build, right, it's real slow, real delayed. So whoever, even if he got with a shooting coach, he's not really coming to them with a lot. Even if Giannis were to develop a shot, the Bucks are still not winning a championship.
But I don't see. Well, maybe they're not winning the championship, but at least he can say, I gave everything I got. And right now, I don't think he's able to give everything he's got because he can't shoot. Now, here's the thing. You say that it's not natural, but when Giannis was a rookie in his second year in the league, he was shooting around 75, 80% from the line. It's plummeted all the way down to 50. I think a lot of that has to do with the muscle mass he's gained, but he was able to shoot. At one point, he was able to, because your free throw percentage kind of dictates how you're able to shoot, right? Like if I'm not right, like it kind of correlates. Now LeBron is kind of oddity because he's still bad at shooting free throws, but he can shoot a 3 a little bit now. Like so, but he's like of another world, right? Like so, we can't compare folks to LeBron James. I don't want to be unfair in that regard, but what I will say is Giannis was able to shoot free throws early in his career. So he's gained like 60 pounds since he's entered the league. So that does change, but I think you have to continue to develop your game, right? So he added all this muscle and realized, dang, I can like bully dudes now, right? Like I might not have had that in my bag when I came into the league, but don't pick up something and drop and leave something off, right? Like don't pick up bullying and Euro stepping and taking one stride from the free throw line. From the 3-point line to dunk and just forget about shooting, because this is still a shooting league. Like threes win games, like shooting jump shots win games. Even if a mid-range jump shot, like Kawhi and Paul George, well, Kawhi more so than Paul George shoots a lot of mid-range shots, and that wins them a lot of games. Like you still have to be able to put the ball in the basket from further away than just 2 feet. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. You got to be able to do more outside the restricted area and able to prevail your team, or at least put your team in best position. Now, do I think they're better than the Lakers even if Giannis has a shot? Probably not. But you're able to elevate yourself to a standard and hold yourself to. You should be able to hold yourself to a standard. That way, people like me can't come on shows like this and criticize you because you can't shoot, or because you're trying to just bully your way all the way to the basket. You get 4 charges in a primetime game on TNT. I mean, and having dudes say you look like LeBron James's Ball Is Life mixtape from his junior year at St. Vincent St. Mary.
That was just like a wild take. Ooh.
From his Ball Is Life mixtape from his junior year of St. Vincent St. Mary's, man. So from one player who don't shoot and who may or may not have developed for a while to another player that is seemingly having the same issue, and that's Ben Simmons. So we looked up Ben Simmons' numbers yesterday, and Ben Simmons averages 12 points per game. They have the best record in the East. Let me start by saying the Sixers are tied for the best record in the East, 10-5.
Thanks to Joe.
Ben Simmons, a number 1 overall pick.
Ben
Simmons, a former Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons, a 2 or 3-time All-Star at this point. Averages 12 points per game. Marcus, what are your thoughts of Ben Simmons in his game?
Man, where do I start? Can I go in for a second?
Yeah, go for it. The floor is yours, buddy. This is another thing about Giannis, by the way. He said he needs a stimulus on his game.
Yeah, his game could use some milk. All right. But so could Ben Simmons. So Simmons is a poor man's version of Giannis because he's less athletic and he's not the scorer that Giannis is. So even if Giannis can't shoot, Giannis damn near averaged 30 points per game the last 2 seasons and he did it in an efficient manner. Here's my issue with Ben Simmons. It's not that he cannot do it, right? It's not that he can't shoot. That is a part of it. It's his refusal to even attempt jump shots. So I'll hearken you all back to 2018. Joel Embiid was injured for, I think, a 2-week stretch. Ben Simmons put the Philadelphia 76ers team on his back. During the course of that stretch, they had a signature win against the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James when he wasn't playing with Kyrie Irving, and he was balling out of control. He damn near averaged a triple-double and was scoring in the high 20s for his points per game. The fact that he is regressing as a scorer, again, you understand that Ben Simmons cannot shoot, but there are more ways to score the basketball than just shooting, right? You can drive to the hole, you can dunk, you can shoot mid-ranges. He's averaging 12.2 points per game and making $35 million a year. I hate bringing up player salaries, but it is not too much for me to ask Ben Simmons on a nightly basis to calmly walk into 18 to 20 points per game. I don't think that's too much to ask for. We know he brings down in the basketball. We know what he brings passing the basketball or running an offense. But for him to be averaging 12.2 points per game, could you imagine Joel Embiid driving to the arena, the level of comfort he would feel if he knew he had a bona fide guy with him who I'm told is a superstar or has superstar-like talent?
I was told he was the next LeBron. That's what I was told for the first couple of years. He's the next LeBron. That's what I heard.
And don't get me wrong, I drank somewhat of the Kool-Aid because I'm like, this dude is 6'3". He can have triple doubles. But again, part of this is admitting when you're wrong. Like someone had to slap me, like, yo, dude, wake up. And then it's like, okay, cool, I got you. All right, I got back on track. But the point is, Ben Simmons averaging 12.2 points per game is ultimately holding this team back. Because you're not winning a championship if your second or third best player is Tobias Harris. And then you're also not winning a championship if your second or third best player is only averaging 12.2 points per game. We need to stop being apologists for Ben Simmons. The Sixers are going to regret not pulling the trigger on the trade for James Harden. And they're not winning the championship this year or in the near future as a result of it.
Bro, it's so crazy because, Sound Maniac, Joel has a better outside game than Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid is like 7'2", right? Like Joel Embiid's your 5-man, and he has a better outside game than your point guard. Let this sit in. Like they don't even sound right. Like they don't even imagine, you know what I'm saying? Somebody being somebody as talented as Ben Simmons. That's the thing. It's not like he's lacking talent. It's not like I don't even think he's lacking work ethic, right? Like we've seen the way his body is transformed. The man is diesel. He's cut. If it was a weightlifting class, he'd probably beat everybody in the league, right? Like he's like that. But as far as development of game, I go back to the same thing I was harping on with Giannis. You should be further along. Like there's no way Ben Simmons in year 4 should be the same guy he was in his rookie year, quote unquote, right? Like the second year, like that is a problem. That is a problem. And actually, like you said, his scoring has regressed. Now, people will say, yeah, they've added shooters. They added Danny Green and Seth Curry is having a career year. And all of that is true. Like yeah, that's true. but that shouldn't stop Ben Simmons from doing what he needs to do. Like yeah, he can just still be able to facilitate, but you can't give me 18 a game. I'm not asking you to go out and here score 25. Like, I understand that's not your game, but I can't get 18. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't get a couple more baskets. We're talking about paying a man, like you said, $150 million to go and get 6 buckets. To go and get 6 buckets, bro. Like, that's it. Like, a man goes to the arena, he shoots 50-something% or 60% from the free throw line. So it's not like he's getting fouled a whole lot. Because even if you got fouled, James Harden, I think, for the last 3 years, has averaged like 12 points from free throws alone. Right? Yep. And Ben Simmons is averaging that on the season. On the season. His points per game has literally stayed the same for the last 4 years. And this year it's fallen off. Now, you can be like, oh, Jeff, they're winning, but that's not how they will be able to win ultimately. Like, they'll run into Boston, who their guys have gotten better. Look at Jaylen Brown. Like, look at Jaylen Brown. That man has literally jumped leaps and bounds over the course of his career. And Ben Simmons is staying the same. Guys like Giannis is essentially saying the same. Now, Giannis is doing it at an accelerated rate, at a higher version, but it's the same thing. It's like having Windows 6 and Windows 20 or whatever Windows is on right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing. But you see the footwork, the way that they're taking the offseason seriously, and it doesn't seem like Ben Simmons is taking it seriously. Like, it looks like he's like, man, I can go, you know, average 12 points. I can make all-star games. Joel can carry the load. Like Joel has clearly worked on his game. Joel has worked on his diet. He's worked on his body. He's worked on his game. But his number 2 is talented enough to be a number 2 to get you to the Eastern Conference Finals, to get you to the NBA Finals. You know, Brooklyn is in the way, so that's a little different. But before the trade with Brooklyn, like, you look like his number 2 was talented enough to take on a Kyrie and Durant. But right now, it's no way in hell. Like, there's no way in hell that we get past Brooklyn, right?
No, so Ben Simmons, the premium he gives you defensively is phenomenal. He can guard 4 positions on the court.
But defense is overrated. And I done told you that, but keep going.
To an extent, yes, in critical moments. So I'll give you an example. There was nobody who was a better defender on Kawhi Leonard the year the Raptors won a championship than Ben Simmons. So that's the kind of defense we're talking about. Right. So I had initial qualms about Ben Simmons when I saw him dating the Kardashian or the Jenner, whichever one he was affiliated with.
They're all the same, but yeah.
That was my initial hesitancy with him when he came into the league. But I'm like, okay, I seen flashes. I'm like, the guy can pass, he can rebound. He's a nightmare defensively. If he can just get over 20, and I don't even think it's unrealistic for me to ask him to average 23, 9, and 8. Like
20 is like, yeah, 20 should be the standard. I'm just asking for 18, but it should be 20, to your point.
It should be, because if you're thinking about it, Joel Embiid can get you 25 to 30 a night, right? Tobias Harris, to me, is a really solid player, but the way Sixers fans talk about Ben Simmons as if the 1-2 punch is Embiid and Simmons. Oh, we can't touch Simmons. Simmons is untouchable. We can't trade him. Our future is contingent upon Simmons and Embiid. The pairing doesn't work. Like, they're winning games right now, and they got rid of Brett Brown, who a lot of Sixers fans thought was the only problem or the main problem. I can agree to that to a certain extent. But the second problem after the coaching, and I guess it's the a chicken and the egg thing, the coaching correlates to Ben Simmons' accountability or lack thereof.
Right.
Like, it's not even the difference between Simmons and Giannis is that Giannis might not be a great shooter, but at least he'll attempt shots, right?
Yeah. No, that's
Ben Simmons' reluctance to shoot the basketball is problematic. In addition to that, if you're not going to shoot, there are other ways to score the basketball, dude. You are 6'10".
You can do what Giannis does. Like, you can literally do what Giannis does.
Or develop a post game or a post move. You are too big to be out there scoring sub 13 points per game in 2020, where I'm told, which is disrespectful to NBA players, that nobody plays defense. So if that's the case, Ben Simmons should be out there scoring 25 a night.
No, but bro, here's the thing. And Mason, this is my homie Mason. He's a Ben Simmons as good as, I mean, Mason is a terrible basketball player, by the way. Let me just throw that out there. But here's the thing. I just looked up something because I had to get this in my mind. So we hear that Ben Simmons is a pass first point guard, and that's why he doesn't score. Once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to do that. But I'm told he's a pass first point guard. That's why he doesn't need to score 18, what I said originally. But I'm gonna bump it up to 20 because you said that, and I'm like, yeah, he should be scoring 20. He's the number 1 overall pick. So they were like, man, you wouldn't ask so and so to do that, or you wouldn't ask so and so like these other pass first point guards. And somebody said he's a light skinned, stretched out Rondo. I'm like, damn, dog. Like that is like damn. But I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. And here's why it's the truth. Because I looked up another pass first point guard that had a lot of talent, like just crazy talent. And I want to see how much he scored compared per game for his career compared to Ben Simmons, who is like 15 points per game, by the way, for his career, and is at 12 points per game at 25 years old this season. Magic Johnson averaged 19 points a game for his career. Magic Johnson, didn't shoot threes. Like he didn't shoot, just like Ben Simmons didn't shoot. So, and nobody in the NBA shot at the time. So it was a congested game. The lanes were clogged or whatever. And he played with the points leader of all time. So therefore, he was pass first. He led the league in assists several times, and he had a bunch of triple doubles. And he was not the first scoring option, just like Joel Embiid is the first scoring option in Philly. And Magic still averaged 19 points per game for his career, not just one season, for his career. So there is no excuse for Ben Simmons. If Magic in an era before three-pointers, before with a congested lane, and with the all-time leading points leader can average 19 a game, there's no way in hell in 2021 Ben Simmons shouldn't average at least 18 points. At least 18 points. I mean, we're talking about 6 buckets a game is what he's getting right now. 6 buckets a game on like 60% from the free throw line. Hell, if you get fouled 4 times in a game, you can get 8 points. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can get 8 points. So it's really – because you got to imagine – I don't know. I don't have this in front of me. You got to imagine he gets a couple free throws a game, right? So if he's getting a couple free throws games, I said 6 buckets is probably closer to like 3 or 4. Like it's probably closer to 3 or 4 if he's really shooting free throws, and that is insane, man. Is that not just crazy?
They don't want to hold him accountable, and this is why they will run into the same problem. Part of the development of players is holding them accountable. We focus on what players can't do because we know what they can do. I'm not going to sit there and praise Ben Simmons for his defense and his facilitating and his passing and rebounding when A, that's what he's expected to do, and B, it's something that he's really proficient at. I'm going to focus on the things that he's not good at. For instance, if I'm a journalist and I struggle with writing short form columns, why in the hell would someone sit there and praise me all day about writing long form essays if short form columns is my Achilles heel? Can someone out there listening or sitting at home watching this make it make sense for me?
Okay, it don't. It don't. They can't make it make sense because it don't.
He's an elite talent, right? But can you cash talent at the bank? Or like, because I'm confused. Last time I walked into a bank and I said, hey, I got a bunch of talent.
Got a whole bunch of talent.
They were looking at me like, okay.
They ain't giving you jack squat. Jimmy. So let's move on, man, because we harping on Ben Simmons. Once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe on the Black Boss channel, and follow Marcus on all his platforms. So moving on to the NBA, and then we'll get off the NBA because we got a bunch of NFL stuff to get to. The Brooklyn Nets, it's game 2 of the Big 3 in Brooklyn. For those who don't know, Marcus is a Brooklyn native, right? Am I right? Am I speaking on that correctly?
I'm a de facto. I'm a Nets fan. Like if the Lakers were not in the NBA too.
Well, we'll get to that later. But Marcus is a Brooklyn native, even though they gentrified Brooklyn a little bit to bring the Nets. But I'm not gonna on that. I'm gonna leave you alone on that one. JC kind of had something to do with that, but I'm gonna leave you alone. And I'm gonna let Hove live this morning. But they gentrified Brooklyn a little bit, and I've never been there. It's just what I read. But anyway, the Nets, game 2 of the Big 3, is playing tonight. Kyrie, KD, and James Harden against the Cleveland Cavaliers after Colin Sexton dropped 42. Marcus, what are your predictions for the Big 3 in Brooklyn tonight?
So I don't know what the spread is, but the Nets are going to win tonight. All right. What happened the other night was an anomaly. Colin Sexton point in overtime, he outscored the Big 3 single-handedly by himself. I think he had like 24 points, and they had a total of 18. So he was balling, and that's not to take anything away from him. But what we're seeing here is every time the Nets walk or chew gum, anything they do is going to be overanalyzed and over-criticized. They're going to feel the pressure of playing with each other, as they should. Anytime you consolidate talent the way they have, like the Miami Heat did, like the Golden State Warriors they did, every loss is going to seem like the universe is caving in on you, and every win is going to seem like, okay, they're about to just steamroll the league for the next 4 years. They're going to feel that all year long. It's a long season. The expectations for this Brooklyn Nets team is the barometer is, what are you going to do in the playoffs? Are you going to make it to the finals? And then are you going to actually win it? There are a lot of people like Shaquille O'Neal who feel like it's not just enough for this team to make it to the finals, even though the Lakers have Anthony Davis and LeBron James and are the prohibitive favorites right now. Shaq is of the mindset that the Brooklyn Nets have to win the championship this year. He doesn't give a damn who comes out on the other side of the ledger. It's championship or bust. And to an extent, I can agree with that, because if Kevin Durant is a player that everyone is telling me he is, which there's been no player in the NBA with respects to Bradley Beal, Luka Doncic,
Kevin Durant is the player that people are telling you is, by the way. I didn't mean to cut you off, but he is. He's that guy.
Right. So if he's that guy, and you've got a bona fide top 10 player in James Harden, and you got another top 15 player in Kyrie Irving, the two other best scorers in the NBA, you're expected to produce a championship. Now, we still know that that's not how basketball works. They have 3 roster spots that need to be filled. They still have to develop some type of chemistry and continuity. Their defense has been atrocious, right? We understand that. But no one wants to hear all of that come playoff time. We don't want to hear that, because they should get out of the Eastern Conference, and they should make it a series if they play the Los Angeles Lakers. If Kevin Durant is LeBron James equal, which he's not, there's never been a day in Kevin Durant's basketball life where he's actually been better than LeBron James. I think we confuse playing better than someone with actually being better than. So right now, KD is playing better than LeBron, but he's not actually better than him. But that might have went over some people's heads. But the Brooklyn Nets should win tonight. I'm not someone who's going to cling and hang on to every single loss and every single win, because I'm waiting to the playoffs to judge this team, period, point blank.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on the same page as you, kind of not. So here is what I am. I'm interested because you dived into the whole playoff thing and whatever, all of that stuff, right? So I'm not going to go that far. I am into, though, seeing how the Nets develop with each game. I'll reevaluate the team after like 10 games or so.
Mm-hmm.
We got to give them like 10 games to play with each other.
Right.
What I will say will happen is James Harden shooting less than Kyrie Irving will not be a thing moving forward. I think James Harden will be the main ball handler because he's just better than Kyrie. But I think they force-fed Kyrie last game because of all the craziness that was taking place and Kyrie not being there the last 7 games and people saying he should retire. And just to kind of, did all of that wild stuff. Like some folks telling Kyrie he should retire, like it was just foolishness, whatever. He's a hooper. Like he's a hooper.
Don't say folks. Who was it?
Hey, Stephen A. Stephen A. said he should retire.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Come on, man. He said he should retire. It was foolishness. Kyrie's a hooper, and the hooper's hoop. Like, it just is what it is. And so, like, should he have left and all of that? Probably not. But and should he have told his bosses he was going to take a leave of absence? It's kind of how it works. But, it is what it is. But what I will say is I am interested to see how they continue to figure out this chemistry with their head coach being Steve Nash and the assistant coach being D'Antoni, right? Like, we know what D'Antoni / Steve Nash / James Harden. Like, we know what they look like for the most part. And those teams do not have great success in the playoffs. Like, they just don't. Like, it just is what it is. Hell, the Steve Nash team one year, D'Antoni and Steve Nash should have lost to the 7-seed Lakers or 8-seed Lakers, whatever Kobe and them were, and they kind of wet the bed on that one. But what I will say about those Steve Nash teams and those James Harden teams of the past with Houston and D'Antoni with the Phoenix Suns, they didn't have a Kevin Durant. I mean, he's the great neutralizer. Like, he is like having a nuclear weapon, and they didn't have those guys. They didn't have that man. Like, that dude is different. Like we can say whatever we want about, like, what I'm saying, him not being LeBron or whatever. He's different. Whether he's LeBron or not, he's Kevin Durant. He's like, you know who I am. What he say? Like, I'm Kevin Durant. Like, you know who I am. And that ain't like, that's facts, G. Like, we can talk about him as burner counts and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when it comes to playing basketball, there's not very many guys better than him at doing it. Even coming off an Achilles, he looks better. Looks better than he has in the previous years. Coming off an Achilles rupture. That's how good at basketball he is. So what I will say is tonight, what I expect from them tonight, I honestly think they're going to blow out the Cavs. Like, I think they're going to blow them out because they know how embarrassing, even though it was game 1, but it was kind of embarrassing to let Colin Sexton drop 40 on you, like a 40. He dropped 40. He outscored you in overtime. That's embarrassing, G. Colin Sexton's like 6'1" with Air Max on, right? Like Colin Sexton is barely is 6 foot nothing, and he dropped 40 on you. That won't happen again. And even if he goes out and drops another 40, then he gonna drop it in a 20-point loss. I expect the Nets to win big tonight and to send a message throughout the league like, hey, that was an anomaly. We're gonna get our stuff together. It's gonna take some time, but we are who we are. Like, I am Kevin Durant. I am James Harden, 3-time scoring champion, led the 30 points per game the last 3 years. I'm Kyrie Irving, just a dog on the court. Nobody can guard me. Nobody can guard Kevin. Nobody can guard James. And I expect them to prove that tonight.
That's the thing, though. I don't think anyone has any worries about the Nets offensively. Like, KD is literally averaging over 30 points per game in his sleep. Like, he literally is coasting to the scoring title this year, right? But it's not about offensively scoring. I see Jay Michael said he sees the Nets beating the Celtics.
He's tweaking.
Right? No, but here's the thing, though. The Celtics have multiple people who can score, but they can also
give me the Celtics stuff, dog.
They can also buckle down and play defense. Look, all I know is this. There's a better chance that on the Eastern Conference, the Nets don't make the playoffs than there is on the Western Conference that the Lakers don't make the finals. Excuse me, not the playoffs, the finals. Let me rescind that comment. There's a better chance, like if someone was like, what could you see happening more? The Lakers not making the finals or the Nets?
True. It's not true. And I love the Lakers, and I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Kobe guy. I'm a LeBron guy. That's not true. That's not true.
Outside. So you mean to tell me right now you don't feel like there's multiple teams that could beat the Nets in the Eastern Conference?
No.
Really?
No. There's one. There's one. There's literally one.
And who's that?
Philly.
So you don't think Boston or Milwaukee can stretch the Nets? Okay, no. I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with you. So that's the thing. Everyone says, well, the Nets basically have the Phoenix Suns staff reincarnated, right? They're questioning, is Steve Nash even running the team or is it Mike D'Antoni's baby? And the answer is it's Mike D'Antoni's team.
Like, it don't even matter. That doesn't even matter.
No, dude, this is why it does matter, Jeff. I disagree with you here. Here's why it does matter. Because in the playoffs, the Nets, I don't know if you remember, but the Nets, there was a game this season, I think it was against the Wizards, where they scored 142 points in regulation. Yeah. Like no overtime. That's not happening in the playoffs. I promise you it's not happening in the playoffs, which means teams get back on defense. Half-court defenses tend to pick up, and teams tend to buckle down.
He's talking about this defense. Defense is overrated, Marcus. When you have a nuclear weapon called Kevin Durant, it's overrated.
Right. No. You have a nuclear weapon called Kevin Durant. That's the only nuclear weapon you have. Kyrie Irving can be
Is James not a nuclear weapon? James led the league in scoring the last 3 years.
In the playoffs, he's a nuclear weapon?
If he got Kevin Durant next to him, absolutely. Kyrie Irving is a different animal in the playoffs. Absolutely. Kyrie Irving is if he's healthy, he's different in the playoffs.
Kyrie Irving, I will give you. But again, there's one basketball. All of them are not going to explode for 30 points per night. That'd be 90 points per game before anyone else touched the ball. It's not happening. I can tell you that right now. And we've seen this in the past. The only person, and the reason it didn't happen with Klay Thompson is because he's not really thought of as a superstar, right? Klay Thompson, when Kevin Durant pulled up, he said, yo, I'm still getting my numbers. Like, whether KD is here and Steph is there, he's like, I'm still going to get my numbers. And if you look at Klay Thompson's stats during the KD era, he still averaged somewhere around 18 to 20 points per game, which he was doing before KD arrived. Chris Bosh took a back seat, right? Anytime you have three superstars, somebody is going to take a back seat. Now, it might change on a night-to-night basis, but the reality is somebody is going to have to take a back seat. The Nets don't have a bench. They don't have any real rim protection. And it's not even that they can't play defense. It just doesn't seem like that's a focal point of them. If you watch the Lakers games, there's a conscious effort to play defense and to get back and to defend. They actually get frustrated when they give up a bunch of points. The Nets are like a track meet. They want to get out to the races and they want to outscore their opponents. And I'm telling you, that is not a sustainable way to win a championship. If it continues throughout the regular season, we'll see how it develops or plays out in the playoffs. But I'm telling you, if they go into the playoffs with that mentality, they're going to get upset. And we're going to be speaking on this exact channel on your show, which I appreciate you for having me on, talking about how did the Brooklyn Nets lose that series.
You got to beat a team 4 times. You got to beat a team 4 times. And what the Nets have The reason why I say it's going to be easier for the Nets than the Lakers, because the Lakers have to beat the Clippers, right? The Clippers, remember that embarrassment thing I had to say? And I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep on my man, Paul George, because that's really what it comes down to. We know I'm not going to let Kawhi off the hook, but it comes down to Paul George, as we'll be honest. And I think Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers with Ty Lue have a better shot at beating the Lakers than anybody has a better shot at beating Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. That's simple. Period. Point blank. I don't think the Celtics have enough. You can give me Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Brad Steve. Man, they're not 4 times. They're gonna beat KD and Kyrie and James 4 times. Absolutely not. You think Milwaukee with Giannis, who can't shoot a jump shot, we just talked about, can't shoot, his game doesn't extend past the free throw line or the restricted area, is gonna beat Kyrie, KD. I mean, Kevin Durant is a different monster in the playoffs. Like Kyrie Irving is a different monster in the playoffs. And James Harden playing with those guys, yeah, James Harden has had his fair share of stinkers in the playoffs, but playing with those guys, last time we saw KD healthy in the playoffs, he was holding a Larry O'Brien. Right. Last time we saw him healthy in the playoffs through the duration of the playoffs, he was holding a Larry O'Brien. We've seen Kyrie Irving hit one of the most clutch shots in the history of the NBA. That is what's on the Brooklyn Nets. And that is why I think they will run through these. It's going to take time, and they're going to use this regular season to experiment with lineups, to change their substitutions, to see who works best with who. They're going to look at the analytics, and they're going to take all this stuff into consideration. And so they're going to lose some of those games because they're going to be experimenting. But come playoff time, at the end of the day, is give me the ball. Kevin Durant's going to be like, give me the ball, and I'm going to take us to the promised land. James is like, all right, when you're not going off, I'm gonna go off. And Kyrie's like, shoot, I'm gonna get mine where I can get mine. And it's gonna work. I think Kyrie Irving is going to be the guy, unfortunately, that's probably going to be the most upset because of everything that's going on. But at the end of the day, there's no team in the Eastern Conference that's gonna beat this team. They're just too good. They're just too good.
I'm with you. They should make it out the East, but if they don't, you better have this same energy.
Oh no doubt.
It's gonna be bad.
No doubt. I don't see a team beating them 4 times. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen.
One of the 3 goes down, I'm still not trying to hear that.
Like that changes things. If one of the 3 goes down, it don't change things.
Nope.
That changes things.
Here's why. Because with KD and just Kyrie, they were favorites to come out of the East, I was told. Because
you weren't told that by me. You weren't told that by me.
Because here's the thing. Giannis still can't close because he doesn't have a jump shot, right? The Celtics are a solid team, but they don't have a neutralizer for KD. The Miami Heat has got up to a slow start. So even with KD and Kyrie, many people had the Nets coming out of the Eastern Conference.
I still like them to come out the East, but I'm not. But that does mean I'm fairly confident now. I don't think there's a question with James Harden. Now I thought that was the favorites to come out of the East, but with James Harden, adding James Harden, even though you got rid of your whole bench, you traded away the whole team. I am confident. I'm stamping it. This is me stamping it that they coming out the East. Now, if one of them goes down, that's different. That's different.
Only if KD goes down. Only if KD. That's the only domino that changes.
I say that for you. I ain't saying it for me.
That's the only domino. No, because if KD is who we say he is, him and James Harden should be able to come out of the East. There's no excuses. I'm not trying to hear none of that because LeBron without Kyrie Irving went on a crazy playoff run in 2018. We got it
different though.
I'll do this another day.
The East is different now, though. This is a different East. But we'll move forward, man. We'll get to that because we got to touch on some of this football topics and we got to get some predictions because it is championship weekend in the NFL. We'll start. You know where we're starting. Joe guy, Mr. Brady, TB12 in the Tampa Bay. They were the Yuccaneers for years, but now they're looking like the Buccaneers, and they're looking like they might host the Super Bowl at their home stadium, going against. I guess they're the favorites. I don't really know. They're the 1 seed, so I guess they kind of be the favorites. The Green Bay Packers and Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who will win. I think is 3rd MVP this year.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? TB12, Aaron Rodgers, Bucks, Packers. Talk to me, Marcus.
Well, I think it's important to highlight that I was right. There were many people who felt like Bill Belichick was responsible for the Patriots' success all those years. And I argued definitively and vehemently that it was Tom Brady. We saw what Bill Belichick was without Tom Brady. He was 42-58 as a head coach in Cleveland. They missed the playoffs 4 to 5 years he was there. He was unceremoniously fired. Before he left the Jets, jilted at the altar. He got to the Patriots. Drew Bledsoe goes down. Tom Brady falls out of the sky into his lap, and the rest is history. All right. Tom Brady, for all those people out there who like to make a case, well, the Patriots went 11-5 with Matt Castle, and they went 3-1 with Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. Bill Belichick could win with anybody under center. Where was that same energy this year? And then I know what the retort to that's going to be, Jeff, because I be playing out these scenarios in my head when I run into these same folks. Well, Marcus Lamar, the Patriots had 8 players opt out. Ask yourself this question: if Tom Brady was center, do you think those same 8 players opt out?
Probably not. He's got 20 years of credibility.
Exactly.
Credibility.
That speaks
20
to
years of winning.
That speaks to the effect that Tom has on an organization and in the locker room. We saw him.
No, nobody's saying Tom's not a dog. Like
that's the thing. He's the most responsible person for that success over the course of those 20 years. Okay, he is a game.
First 3 Super Bowls on the defense. I think we did this already. But talk about the game this weekend. You got to go on your little Tom Brady soliloquy. We hear you, man. Talk about the game this weekend.
Because the reason I have to is because what we was told at the end of the regular season, at the end of the playoffs last year, was that Tom Brady was washed. He threw a pick 6 to end his Patriots career, and I was told that at the tender age of 42, Tom Brady no longer had anything left in the tank. We know that to be a lie. It was fake news, all right? Tom Brady went to Tampa, and in year 1 led them to 11-5. He's got a bunch of records for quarterbacks for the organization already, and he only been there for an hour.
It's been a bad organization. Let's not act like data. Somebody good. Like they're not the 49ers. He got all the records because they've been they were the Yuccaneers. That's what I led.
We change the temperature overnight. That's what we do. That's what happened.
I mean, he threw 40 touchdowns at 40 years old. That is amazing. Like I'm not taking that away from him. Crazy.
Yeah, 43 years old. But as it pertains to this weekend specifically, I'm torn because outside of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorite quarterbacks. I think Aaron Rodgers should be on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks alongside Tom Brady, Peyton Montana, and Joe Montana. The only thing that's keeping me from actually putting him up there is the fact that he only has 1 Super Bowl. Hell, Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning had 2. So I at least need Aaron Rodgers to get 2. So that way when I'm having these ridiculous arguments with individuals, I can say, well, at least he has 2 in addition to the 3 MVPs and a Super Bowl MVP and a bunch of records like touchdown and interception ratio, passer rating. This is one game in history where if Tom Brady loses, I would not be upset because deep down in my heart, I would love to see a State Farm Super Bowl between Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I think they're the 2 best quarterbacks in the league with respect to my guy, Tom Brady. With that being said, I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Packers this weekend with the upset.
The Bucs with the upset, and you feel like the Bucs are going to be playing a Super Bowl at their own home, right? Like that's
yes, but I do not think that they will be able to win it because Kansas City will be waiting for them on the other side.
Okay, so you said a whole lot there because you wanted to give your Tampa Bay soliloquy once again. Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word show, man. He's a great guy. He loves, for those who don't know, he's a Brooklyn native that loves Tom Brady. Who would have thought? You're from the Northeast and you love Tom Brady. Who would have ever thought that, right?
Well, I love greatness, Jeff. There's a difference. I love greatness.
Yeah, we hear you. So anyway, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are winning this game. And here's why. We know that the Bucs, beat the hell out of the Packers earlier this season. Now, it's a regular season game. The playoffs are different. And I feel like that game was in Tampa, right? Am I wrong? That game was in Tampa.
Yeah, it was in Tampa. Yeah, correct.
That game was in Tampa. This one will be at the frozen tundra with snow apparently in the forecast, which that's not going to bother Brady. Brady's played in snowstorms. Hell, Brady created the tuck rule. Like that was in snow, whatever. The reason why Aaron Rodgers is winning this game because Aaron Rodgers has to win this game. He's winning this game because he has to. Tom Brady, if he wins this game, just amplifies his already, GOAT status or whatever. You feel like the greatest quarterback, greatest football player, whatever. Like it only amplifies his stuff. Now, Aaron Rodgers, if he loses this game, think about what he'll be losing to. He'll be losing to a 43-year-old first-year quarterback, first year in the system quarterback, Tom Brady, with Tampa Bay. And Bruce Arians, who is like a knucklehead as far as a coach or whatever, like that's not a good look. Aaron Rodgers coming off maybe his best season ever, right? With his best weapon at receiver ever, right? Like with his best offense ever, losing to a 43-year-old Brady. You can't go out like that, Aaron. Like I don't care. Like you cannot go out like that. As much as I love me some Aaron Rodgers, that cannot happen. Like that'll be a big stain on your resume because as good as we think the Packers will be next year's never promised. Like we don't know what the team will be. Like NFL teams go from good to bad quicker than anything I've ever seen in my life, right? Like, so not to say they'll be a bad team, but anything can happen. Injuries, they've been fairly healthy for the most part. Anything can happen to the Packers next season. So this is the year. This is the year to beat Brady. This is the year to beat the Bucs. This is the year to get back to a Super Bowl you haven't sniffed the Super Bowl for what, a decade? Like, come on. You telling me Aaron Rodgers, who I also believe should be on somebody's Mount Rushmore quarterbacks or whatever, hasn't sniffed the Super Bowl, only has one win, and hasn't sniffed the Super Bowl for a decade. Like, dude, you gotta win this game. It means that much to Aaron Rodgers and his legacy. It means that much to Aaron Rodgers feel like he was disrespected when they took a quarterback in the first round of last year's draft. It means that much to Aaron Rodgers, who's going to win the MVP of this season and be his third MVP. He's got to bring this one home. You can't lose to a 43-year-old Brady. Like as great as of a season that Brady is having, and as great as the Bucs look, and as great as their defense is, you can't lose to that team. You can't lose to that team when you have this team. This team with Devontae Adams, with Aaron Jones, with the line that's played fairly well for the entirety of the season, and with a defense that seems to be balling. Like the defense seems to have gotten it together because for years the Packers, their biggest problem was we knew they could score. Aaron Rodgers made chicken salad out of chicken, you know what, right? It was the defense that gave a whole bunch of points, and the defense that couldn't stop anybody, and defense that couldn't get a pass rush. They do all of that now. Like they can get a pass rush. They have one of the best corners in the league, and a Louisville kid in Jair Alexander. And you
would say that,
huh?
You would say that.
Look at the numbers. Kentucky. Is Jair not one of the best in the league?
Hold on, I'm
a freshman in college.
Louisville, Kentucky.
He's not from. He's from South Carolina. Let me. He went to the University of Louisville. I'm just throwing that out. Yeah. He's a Pro Bowler. He's
that's what you.
But anyway, so you have one of the better corners in the league, right? That's gonna be probably locked up on Mike Evans the entirety of the game and force other guys to try to beat him. AB seems to be dealing with a little nagging injury, and right now Chris Godwin's got a case of the drops. So like you match up really well. Now this team and you have a revenge factor because this team spanked you, at the beginning of the season. You know what I'm saying? This team really took you to the woodshed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this team really went in. So I feel like the Packers have to. Not only should they win this game, they have to win this game. They have to win it on Sunday.
No, I agree with you. I think this. I'm not going to say this is it because the NFC outside of the Packers and Aaron Rodgers is not really murderer's row, right? But this is a really good chance because Aaron Rodgers in his illustrious career is 1-3 in championship games, right? This is the first time he's playing or will be playing in a championship game that he's hosting. So that's a big domino in and of itself. Number two, he's playing at a supremely high level. All right. He's playing at a supremely high level. Number three, they should beat this Bucs team because they're better. Like, regardless of what we saw in week 6 when they lost 38-10 to Tampa, right. This Packers team has been better than this Tampa team all year long. Week to week, wire to wire, the Packers have been one of the best teams in the NFL, and they've been one of the best teams in the NFC. The only reason I have a feeling that they may lose is because it seems like it's too perfect. In a perfect world, we would get to see Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers do battle in the Super Bowl like we were supposed to see last year before the San Francisco 49ers unceremoniously interrupted that. And I just feel like a part of me feels like it's almost too good to be true. Like, could we really actually get to see Mahomes and Rodgers do battle while they're both still playing at supremely high levels? Because the surefire bet of this weekend is Kansas City over Buffalo. Woo! I know that I'm gonna offend a lot of Buffalo fans, and they probably will ban me.
Josh Allen fanboys ain't gonna like that. I can tell you firsthand experience. The Josh Allen fanboys is not gonna like you picking against Buffalo. Picking like saying they don't have a chance in hell against Kansas City. Like I can tell you the Josh Allen fanboys, they get on my head all the time because I call Josh Allen overrated, and they wasn't feeling that. They wasn't feeling my speed on that. And let's go ahead and make that transition. Kansas City, Buffalo, you said surefire bet. Like I can go cash my check right now on Kansas City beating Buffalo. Why?
So here's the thing. Everyone keeps saying, I don't know, Kansas City looks a little vulnerable. They haven't been playing well. Right?
They was on the ropes against Cleveland.
But folks, that's the mark of a great championship team. When you can get away with your C game, right? When you still have another level or another gear of performance to tap into, that's what makes the Kansas City Chiefs dangerous. Let me be clear. Patrick Mahomes will be suiting up for the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday. I don't have any inside information. I'm not pretending to be a reporter, but there's no way in hell he's missing this game. There's no way in hell the Chiefs and the NFL are letting him miss this game. He will be playing on the field. Patrick Mahomes might not be playing, quote unquote, at an all-time level because he's not throwing the ball all over the yard, but he's getting what needs to be done in order to win football games. The Kansas City Chiefs are extremely well coached. They do not have to travel. This is Buffalo's first AFC Championship game since 1994, Jeff. I was just 1 year old back when they was in the championship game. Just one.
I wasn't here yet.
Okay.
I made my appearance to this world.
On the flip side, this is the Kansas City Chiefs' third consecutive AFC Championship game. They should have won one against the Patriots until Tom Brady did go-to things in overtime by completing.
No. I'm not letting you get away with it. They threw a pick in the game, and the damn kid was lined up all sides.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Jeff, D Ford was lined up in the Patriots' backfield.
That's cap. Oh, my God. Keep talking. That's cap, man.
That's how outside he was. But the point I'm making is that this is not the Kansas City Chiefs' first rodeo. This is their third consecutive AFC Championship game, which means their experience lies with them. On top of that, I think Kansas City is going to come out with a renewed focus. I understand. They understand what's at stake here, man. It's hard to get to Super Bowls and it's hard to win Super Bowls. I know it seems like they come out with a they lost one game this year, Jeff. Like, we're used to seeing like really elite teams like the Patriots go 14-2, 13-3, 12-4. The Kansas City Chiefs lost one game this season. They went 15-1. They almost went undefeated. Crazy. In the aftermath of winning the Super Bowl. So I say all that to say, the only game that there might be some, like, I don't know, it could go either way, is Tampa and Green Bay. Kansas City will be in the Super Bowl again, and they will be beating the Buffalo Bills. And nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
Man, I will first, before I go on my tangent, which don't tell me I'm about to defend the Buffalo Bills. My God, Josh Allen fanboys. I just want to show this. This was D Ford's circle in the big yellow circle. This was him against the Patriots. And I don't know, for those at home, you can see that was the offsides penalty that was called against the Chiefs that prevented
you think you're slick. You think you're slick right now. You think
this is the truth. It's just the truth.
He might as well be a left guard or a left tackle.
Are you serious? This had nothing to do with the play. The play was what it was. It was Brady throwing a pick, and Kansas City should have been headed to the Super Bowl. But I digress. They should have been headed to the Super Bowl to beat the Rams. But I digress. Regardless. So I'm actually about to defend the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and his fanboys that always are on my neck. They're always coming at me because I said the quarterback's overrated, and I said that Stephon Diggs changed his career and whatever. So the Bills have a chance to win Sunday. Like, I mean, it's that simple. I'm not cashing my check, as small as it may be, on the Bills. Because the problem with the Bills is that they don't run the ball. And that is going to be a problem against Kansas City, especially if Patrick Mahomes. Now, Patrick Mahomes is neutralized a little bit. He's hurt. I mean, it is what it is. He had a concussion, but he'll play through that. But he has like turf toe. It's like he has like a steel boot in his shoe on Sunday. He's going to have to play with a steel boot. That matters. Like, we're not going to just act like that doesn't matter. Like, that actually matters. Like, playing with turf toe or playing with steel boots or whatever, like that affects your game. And so what I will say is that's going to give Buffalo a chance. Now, the reason why I'm going to pick Kansas City and reason why Kansas City win this game is because when the games matter most and when they're clutch, give me the better quarterback and give me the team that's been there, done that. We saw the run Kansas City had last year where they were down double digits in every single playoff game and always somehow, some way managed to come back. And then this year, like throughout the regular season, it seemed like it was a bunch of games they should have lost, quote unquote, as should have. And they somehow found a way to win. Like you said, they only had one loss, and that was to my Oakland Raiders. Shout out to the Raiders and John Gruden. They lost to them, but then they came back and beat them. and then they beat every other team. Although people are like, oh, they should have lost, or they were this close to losing. If Cleveland would have stopped them on fourth down, if it was the fifth, I'd be drunk. Like it is what it is. Like I mean, it is what it is. Like. And they always seem the way to pull out the win. So that is why, with a team that I think they are more talented than, with a quarterback that I think he is more talented than their quarterback, and with no running game over there on the Buffalo side of the ball, like the Buffalo don't even try to run the ball. Like, that's the thing; they don't even try. I think in the first half of last week's game against Baltimore, Buffalo called one design run. I think Josh Allen had like 25 or 30 passes in the first half, and they called one design run. You're not beating Kansas City like that. Like, I mean, I'm just be honest with you. And I think Kansas City is still a sleeping giant. Like, I think they're kind of sleeping through these playoffs so far. They're going to wake up come the AFC Championship game. They're going to score a few more points. And as long, this is a big if, and this is if. Okay. As long as Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, I think they'll be headed to their second straight Super Bowl. Like, it's just my thoughts.
And to be honest, there's no bad Super Bowl matchup we're gonna get. Like regardless of who wins, because I think every
Buffalo's in the Super Bowl would be a bad matchup. I don't want to see
Buffalo. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Buffalo's in the Super Bowl. I don't want to see that. It's bad. That's bad.
Jeff, see, you're looking at name recognition. The Buffalo Bills have been a really good team this year, and let's not remember. They've been to 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. And
when they were going to the Super Bowls? Running back? How old were you when they was going to the Super Bowl? They went to the last one in 94, by the way. So how old were you?
So the first 3, I was still swimming. I was a thought, right? The fourth one, I was 1 year old. Or matter of fact, I don't even think I was 1. I think I had just been born. Maybe I was 1. But the point is,
Super Bowl played in February every year. So,
the point is, they're a good team. Now, if we had to rank matchups, the Packers-Chiefs would be my first preferred Super Bowl. The Bucks-Chiefs would be my second preferred Super Bowl. Okay?
And I don't want to see no other one. That's me. I'm going to be real. I don't want to see no other one. Because anyone with the Bills in it is a bad suit. Like, bro, let's be real. Like, nobody outside of the tri-state area, you're from New York, nobody like Buffalo outside of Buffalo. Like, what? Like, it was so funny. One of my favorite sportscasters is Nick Wright, right? And so he lost a bet with Colin or whatever. And Nick lives in like the New Jersey, New York area, whatever. He lives there. And he couldn't find a Josh Allen jersey in New York City. He couldn't find a Josh Allen. Like, how far is Buffalo from the city, Marcus? You from New York. How far is Buffalo from Brooklyn?
So Buffalo is probably maybe like 4 to 6 hours, I want to say. So now, let me make this clear, because a lot of people, Buffalo is considered upstate New York, right? Anything upstate is basically anything north of actual New York City.
So it's Canada.
It actually is close to Canada. One of the cool things is like if you're in Buffalo, like you literally could like point and see like actual Canada. So that is kind of cool, like Niagara Falls, that area. But let's be clear. People sleep on Buffalo, but Buffalo give it up crazy. Like Buffalo has ratchet parts. They got fun. Like Buffalo is not like, oh, well, it's just out yonder and it's not actual. No. If you live in New York State and you grew up in New York City, Buffalo and Albany are not to be slept on. So I'm going to be respectful. You know what? I'm going to arrange a trip for you to come to Brooklyn, but you just had your Buffalo trip revoked. You really are being
good. I don't want it. Buffalo, they get 6 feet of snow. Only thing Buffalo want is Buffalo wings. That's it. I don't care about going to Buffalo, and I damn sure don't want to see them in the Super Bowl. Not saying they can't make it. Like you said, they can't make it. I'm not being disrespectful in that regard, but I don't want to see them. I definitely think they can make it. I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl.
You know what they remind me of? Last year when the Tennessee Titans were on that fairy tale run, and I had people saying, I don't know, I was like, no. The sure bet of this weekend is the Chiefs will beat the Titans. Even when they were down 17-7 to Tennessee, I said the Chiefs will win this game. The NFL is not letting them anywhere near the Super Bowl, so we can kill that noise. The Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will too. One thing I want to, before me and once again, I'm talking to Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word show. There's one thing that I want to show before we get out of here, Marcus, and it is funny. It's somebody had brought it up in the chat earlier. It is an exchange between Donovan Mitchell and Shaquille O'Neal that went down last night. I really think so. So for context, guys, I want to give you a little bit of context before I show you this. Donovan Mitchell had just dropped, I think, like 37. Right, yeah. They had just dropped 37. They had just won the game, and this was a Shaq and Donovan Mitchell's interaction. I'm gonna make this full screen so everybody can see it. Let's do it like that. And let's do this is funny, y'all. I want to make sure y'all hear this. So here we go.
I said tonight that you are one of my favorite players, but you don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose. I want you to hear it. What do you have to say about that? All right. That's it. That's it? All right. Good, cool. I mean, I've been hearing that since my rookie year. I'm just going to get better and do what I do. Good. At the end of the day. Well, that's what I want you to hear you say. Love your game, bro. Keep it up. Appreciate it.
So we kind of cleaned it up at the end, right? He's like, I love your game, brother. I just heard it like on some Shaq version of motivation. But Marcus, what is your thoughts after hearing that exchange between Shaq and Donovan Mitchell?
See, me being a journalist, I have to know what the background is, right? I have to know what prompted him to say this in the first place. Like, was it an exchange they had off air where he told him like, yo, this is what I feel like is missing? Or maybe it was a revelation that came to Shaq during the course of the game where he's watching Donovan Mitchell and it's like, man, this dude is fun to watch. He's exciting because I like D Mitch. Like if you watch D Mitch, seeing him,
he's another Louisville guy, by the way. He went to University of Louisville, but I just want to throw that out there. But continue.
He seems like on the serious note, he seems like a good character guy, but he's
really dope dude.
Basketball at a really high level, right? So I understand what Shaq is saying. It's like, yo, your game is like that. It's just when I'm watching you, I just don't know if you have what it takes to take your team, specifically speaking, the Utah Jazz, to the next level, which means he probably feels that Donovan Mitchell would be more suited or better suited as a Robin. Like he doesn't get like Batman vibes from him. So I think Donovan Mitchell, because it's hard when someone gives you that type of energy in person, especially when you're not expecting it. I think Donovan Mitchell did a great job of taking it in stride, and I hope that he uses it as fuel and motivation to prove Shaq wrong, which I think ultimately is what Shaq wants.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that was like Shaq's version of like motivating someone, right? Like we know Shaq can, I think you called him a chatty patty one time. He can be a little bit of a chatty patty sometimes in his way of like trying to push that motivation lever,
right.
What right or wrong, however you like it. But one thing he always falls back on him is he got 4 of them things, right? And he's the last one to have a three-peat, right? Like he's the last, him and his team was the last team to have a three-peat, and he was the finals MVP all 3 of those times. So it's really hard for people to give him pushback, right? Like, 'cause he's like, man, I dominated. You should be able to dominate. And this is my way of trying to get you to your final form, right? To get to that point to where you can dominate. Whether you like the way his presentation, it's up for debate, but it is what it is. Marcus, thank you. Another successful episode, brother. Thank you again for tuning in. Once again, this is Marcus Lamar from the Mark My Word Show. Be sure to follow Marcus on all the social media platforms. I am Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.